A woman doesn't fall in love through appearances, words, or gestures alone. She falls in love when she feels emotionally safe. And this emotional safety is something that develops slowly, quietly, and consistently. Before a woman can truly give her heart to a man, she needs to experience a sense of security that tells her she can trust him with her emotions, her vulnerabilities, and her future. Emotional safety isn't about trying to be perfect or acting like a hero. It's about being steady, genuine, and reliable in a way that makes her feel she can relax into the connection instead of constantly questioning it. When a woman senses that a man is emotionally stable, clear in his intentions, and consistent in how he treats her, her walls begin to lower almost automatically. Her love doesn't appear all at once. Instead, it grows each time she sees him behave in ways that confirm her belief that he is safe. This safety begins with trust, but trust isn't built through promises, it's built through patterns. If a man says one thing but does another, if he disappears emotionally or physically, or if he reacts unpredictably, she can't relax around him. Her body stays tense, her mind stays alert, and her heart stays closed. Women are biologically wired to protect their emotional world because emotional investment carries a higher risk for them. So before love can bloom, a woman subconsciously evaluates whether the man is consistent in his behavior, attentive in his communication, and stable in his emotional presence. When she sees reliability instead of chaos, clarity instead of mixed signals, and calmness instead of reactivity, she begins to feel that she is safe to express her real self without fear of being abandoned, mocked, or misunderstood. Emotional safety also comes from a man's ability to listen, not just to words, but to tone, silence, and feelings. When a woman opens up about something, she isn't always seeking a solution. Often, she's seeking to be understood. When a man listens without defensiveness, responds without dismissing her feelings, and shows that he values what she shares, she feels seen. Feeling seen is one of the deepest forms of emotional safety for a woman. It tells her she doesn't have to hide who she is. And when she doesn't have to hide, she can love freely. This type of emotional connection is something women crave, not because they are needy, but because emotional connection is their primary pathway to romantic attachment. A man who can create this atmosphere unintentionally becomes unforgettable to her. Another key part of emotional safety is a man's self-control. A man who loses his temper easily, reacts negatively to small things, or allows insecurity to dictate his behavior creates an environment that feels unpredictable. No woman can fall in love in the middle of emotional storms. On the other hand, when a man handles conflict with maturity, speaks with calmness, and treats her with respect even when he's upset, she feels secure in the relationship. Emotional control doesn't mean suppressing feelings, it means expressing them with responsibility. Men who can do this make a woman feel that even difficult moments won't turn into chaos. And when she feels safe even during conflict, her love deepens. Emotional safety also includes honesty. Not brutal honesty, not honesty used as a weapon, but consistent truthfulness that proves he has nothing to hide. A woman falls in love when she senses that a man is transparent in his intentions and straightforward in his actions. When he doesn't play games, doesn't manipulate, and doesn't send mixed signals, she begins to trust that she can invest emotionally without fear of being blindsided. Love is impossible for a woman who feels confused or uncertain about where she stands, but love grows naturally when she knows the man's actions match his words. Finally, emotional safety comes from a man who is secure within himself. A woman falls in love far more deeply when she senses that a man is centered, purposeful, and grounded in who he is. Confidence, real confidence, not arrogance, is a stabilizing energy. It reassures her that he won't crumble under pressure, become jealous without reason, or need constant validation. When a man is secure, he becomes a safe emotional space naturally because he isn't driven by fear. And when she senses this calmness in him, she feels safe to open her heart fully. A woman doesn't fall in love because a man chases her, pursues her endlessly, or showers her with attention. In fact, too much chasing makes her feel pressured, overwhelmed, and emotionally suffocated. Women fall in love when they feel desired, truly desired, in a way that feels natural, confident, and grounded. Desire is not the same as neediness, and this difference is what separates attraction from repulsion. When a man desires a woman from a place of inner strength, he makes her feel chosen, valued, and admired. But when he chases her from a place of insecurity or desperation, he makes her feel responsible for his emotional state, and that responsibility kills her attraction instantly. Women want to feel that a man is interested, but they also want to feel that he has self-respect, boundaries, and purpose. When a man overpursues, he communicates subconsciously that he doesn't see himself as valuable enough, so he tries to prove it through excessive effort. He texts too much, calls too often, gives too many compliments, or tries to force connection before it naturally develops. Instead of feeling desired, the woman begins to feel pressured and emotionally crowded. She feels like she has no space to breathe or choose. Love cannot grow in a space where pressure exists. It grows only where desire is present without force. Corey Wayne often emphasizes that women are attracted to men who display confidence through their actions, not their words. A man who desires her without chasing signals that he knows his worth. He is interested, but not dependent. He shows attraction, but not obsession. He leans in just enough to make his intentions clear, but not so much that he becomes predictable, needy, or emotionally clingy. This balance creates an emotional tension that women find irresistible. It allows her to move toward him willingly instead of being dragged toward him unwillingly. Feeling desired means she experiences a man's interest in a way that honors her feminine energy. Women want to feel pursued, but only by a man who remains grounded, composed, and selective. When a man carries himself with purpose and certainty, she feels like she is being chosen, not chased. When she feels chosen, her heart naturally opens. She begins to imagine a future, to think about him when he's not around, and to emotionally invest without fear. This is because desire communicates value. It tells her that he sees something unique in her worth exploring deeply. But desire must be paired with restraint. A man who desires a woman but still respects his own space and hers communicates that he is not seeking validation. He is not trying to fill a void. He is not asking her to complete him. Instead, he is inviting her into a connection that already has stability. This makes her feel safe enough to let her guard down. She begins to trust him emotionally because he isn't rushing or forcing intimacy. He isn't trying to speed up the relationship to soothe his own insecurities. He allows things to progress naturally, which makes the connection feel genuine rather than strategic. The truth is that women test men without even realizing it. When she pulls back, becomes distant, or slows down communication, she is subconsciously checking whether his desire is confident or desperate. A man who responds with calmness and patience shows her that he wants her, but doesn't need her to feel whole. This makes her feel respected and valued, not hunted. But a man who panics, overreacts, or tries harder when she pulls away reveals insecurity, and insecurity kills attraction. Women fall in love when they feel desirable in a man's eyes, not when they feel like a prize a man is trying to win to boost his ego. Feeling desired is emotional, it's subtle, it's intimate. It's the way he looks at her, the way he listens, the way he touches her with certainty and confidence. It's the way he makes her feel beautiful, not because he says it 100 times. but because his energy reflects it even without words. Women fall for the man who makes them feel emotionally alive, not trapped by excessive attention. Another dimension of desire is presence. When a man is present with her, not distracted, not nervous, not trying to impress, she feels special. Presence communicates that he is interested in her, not just in having a girlfriend or securing her validation. When he gives her his full attention during conversations, she feels seen. When he respects her boundaries and doesn't push for more than she is ready to give, she feels safe. When he appreciates who she is instead of trying to mold her into something else, she feels wanted. A woman falls in love when she feels that a man wants her for who she is, not for what she provides. She wants to feel chosen but never chased out of desperation. She wants to feel desired but never suffocated. And she wants to feel admired without being overwhelmed by pressure. True desire is a magnet. It pulls her toward him naturally. Chasing, on the other hand, pushes her away. When a man understands this balance, a woman begins to fall for him effortlessly. Because desire, when expressed confidently and calmly, awakens her emotions, stirs her imagination, and opens her heart to love. A woman cannot fall deeply in love unless her feminine energy is activated, and that activation only happens in the presence of a man who is fully grounded in his masculine energy. Masculine and feminine energies are not about gender roles or traditional expectations. They're about emotional polarity, attraction, and the way two people naturally complement each other. When a man steps into his true masculine presence, he creates an emotional space that allows a woman to relax, trust, and open up in a way she simply cannot do when she feels she has to lead, control, or protect herself. Feminine energy thrives on emotional safety, direction, and confidence, and when she senses these qualities in a man, she naturally softens and becomes more expressive, affectionate, and emotionally invested. Masculine energy is calm, strong, consistent, and purposeful. It doesn't seek approval or validation. It moves with confidence and clarity. When a woman interacts with a man who embodies this energy, she feels something inside her shift. She feels she doesn't have to be the one managing everything of the conversations, the emotions, the direction of the relationship. Instead, she can breathe, lean back, and simply be herself. This emotional relaxation is what opens the doorway to love. A woman cannot fall in love when she feels like she has to be the strong one all the time, when she feels unheld, or when she senses that the man is dependent on her emotionally. But when she feels the steady presence of masculine energy, love takes root almost naturally. A man activates a woman's feminine side, not by dominating or controlling her, but by being decisive and grounded. When he knows who he is, what he wants, and where he's going in life, she senses a level of stability that invites her feminine heart to open. She feels drawn to his direction, his conviction, and his sense of purpose. Feminine energy wants to feel carried emotionally, not controlled physically or mentally. A man with masculine energy doesn't push her or pressure her. He leads with confidence and consistency. He communicates with clarity, handles challenges with maturity, and moves through life with purpose. This energy makes her feel safe enough to surrender, not surrendering her independence, but surrendering her emotional tension. When a man is indecisive, insecure, overly emotional, or uncertain about himself, a woman instinctively pulls back, not because she's cold, but because her feminine instincts don't feel activated. She begins to feel like she has to take the lead. She becomes the planner, the decision maker, the emotional anchor, and even the problem solver. While she may be capable of doing all these things, it drains her emotionally and pushes her into her masculine side. A woman can't fall in love from her masculine energy. Love grows only when she is in her feminine, open, soft, expressive, vulnerable, and emotionally connected. And she can only be in that state when the man's energy gives her space to do so. Masculine energy is also emotionally controlled, not emotionally suppressed. A man who can feel emotions without letting those emotions control his actions radiates strength. When he gets upset but still speaks calmly, when he's disappointed but remains respectful, when he's frustrated but doesn't lose composure, she feels safe with him in a way that words cannot describe. Emotional stability is one of the strongest triggers for feminine emotional openness. When she sees that he doesn't crumble under pressure or lash out unpredictably, she feels confident investing in him. This emotional grounding makes her feel that no matter what happens, he will remain steady. That steadiness allows her to love freely. Another powerful aspect of masculine energy is presence. When a man is fully present, listening intently, engaging consciously, giving her his complete attention, she feels valued and deeply connected. Presence is magnetic because it tells her that she matters. It awakens her feminine desire to express, to share, to open up emotionally. A man who is physically there but mentally scattered doesn't activate anything within her, but a man who listens, observes, and responds with depth makes her feel cherished. This dynamic creates emotional polarity, the force that draws masculine and feminine together. Women fall in love not with a man's words, but with how his presence makes them feel. When his presence is strong, confident, calm, and directed, she naturally becomes softer, more affectionate, and more emotionally available. Her feminine energy responds like a flower blooming under the warmth of the sun. She feels safe to laugh more, share more, touch more, and love more. She becomes gentler because she doesn't have to harden herself anymore. A man's masculine energy also inspires a woman. It makes her want to support him, admire him, and stand by him. She feels proud to be with him because his purpose-driven life gives her a sense of direction and stability. Her love grows stronger when she sees him pursuing goals, overcoming challenges, and maintaining high standards. She feels emotionally secure because she knows he's not just drifting through life, he's moving with intention. When a man fully embodies his masculine energy, a woman doesn't have to force herself to love him. Love becomes her natural response. Her feminine energy feels alive, expressed, and understood. She feels like she can be herself, fully and openly, without fear. It's this emotional freedom, created by his masculine presence, that causes her to fall deeply and authentically in love. A woman doesn't fall in love simply because a man is attractive, charming, or fun to be around. Attraction sparks interest, but long-term love requires something much deeper, the feeling that the man is a safe and meaningful emotional investment. A woman gives her heart only when she sees signs of reliability, emotional maturity, and long-term value. She wants to know that the man she is opening herself to isn't temporary, inconsistent, or unpredictable. She falls in love when she sees qualities that make her feel she can build something real with him, something that won't collapse the moment life gets difficult. For a woman, investing emotionally is not a small decision. Women are naturally more selective with their hearts because emotional bonding carries immense risks for them. It affects their mental peace, future stability, and sometimes even their sense of identity. So before she allows herself to fall deeply, she evaluates whether the man brings growth, consistency, and stability into her life. She asks herself subconsciously, is this man worth opening up to? Will he be here tomorrow? Can he handle me at my worst? Does he add value to my life or take away from it? A man who provides emotional consistency, not perfection, creates the foundation on which love grows. One of the strongest signs a woman looks for is a man's reliability, not just in big promises, but in everyday actions. When he says he'll call, he does. When he commits to plans, he follows through. When he makes a mistake, he takes responsibility instead of hiding behind excuses. This reliability makes her feel secure. She begins to trust that he is not just interested when it's convenient, but that he is dependable in a meaningful way. Reliability gives her permission to emotionally relax, and when she relaxes, her feelings deepen. A woman also evaluates a man's emotional intelligence. She needs to feel that he understands her, or at the very least, tries to understand. A man doesn't have to solve her problems or agree with everything she says, but he must show empathy and awareness. When conflicts arise, and they always do, she watches how he handles them. Does he become defensive, aggressive, cold, or dismissive? Or does he communicate calmly, listen sincerely, and work toward resolution? His reaction during conflict tells her what kind of emotional future she can expect. If she sees maturity and patience, she feels safe enough to imagine a long-term connection. If she sees volatility or avoidance, she withdraws her heart to protect herself. Long-term emotional investment also depends on a man's purpose and direction in life. A woman is unlikely to fall deeply in love with a man who lacks ambition, goals, or discipline. She doesn't need him to be rich or successful, but she needs to see that he is moving forward with intention. Purpose is attractive because it shows stability. A man with direction is harder to shake, less likely to fall apart, and more capable of supporting both himself and the relationship. When she sees a man growing, evolving, and striving for something bigger, she feels that he is someone she can build a future with. She begins to love him not only for who he is today, but for who he is becoming. Another essential element is how he treats her heart. A woman falls in love when she feels emotionally nourished, when she feels appreciated, valued, and respected. Small gestures of care matter deeply to her. When he remembers details she's mentioned, when he checks on her well-being, when he supports her dreams, when he celebrates her achievements, she feels emotionally safe and cherished. This emotional nourishment tells her that he sees her as more than a temporary presence in his life. It tells her that she matters, that her feelings matter, and that her happiness matters. A woman also looks at how a man treats himself. If he has self-respect, healthy boundaries, and personal discipline, she feels more confident in choosing him. A man who neglects himself, disrespects his own values, or sacrifices his dignity for approval cannot offer long-term emotional security. But a man who respects himself naturally earns her respect and emotional trust. She sees him as a man with integrity, and integrity is one of the strongest foundations of love. Finally, a woman must feel that the relationship has emotional reciprocity, that she is giving to someone who is equally capable of giving back. Love won't me, for membering, the the used to nted, or love exploited. When a man shows appreciation, effort, and consistency, she feels that her emotional investment has value. She begins to see the relationship not as a risk, but as a long-term opportunity for growth, connection, and fulfillment. When all these elements align, reliability, emotional maturity, purpose, self-respect, and genuine care, a woman no longer questions whether the man is worth loving. She feels it, she sees it, she trusts it, and love becomes the natural next step. Women don't fall in love because of passion alone. They fall in love when their heart recognizes long-term safety, value, and potential. Once she sees you as a true emotional investment, she gives her love deeply, loyally, and wholeheartedly.